Okay, let's bring in Matt Dubuc, my good friend from Cardinal Gibbons High School. Hey, Coach, before we jump into week 3 in the CFL, because I know you're all primed and ready to go, the sense from my Florida fans is this, a mix of these feelings: shock at what happened last night, some anger, and worry as this thing goes up to Edmonton Friday night. Have I sensed that right? And what are you feeling?
I completely disagree. I've watched the Panthers all year. What got them?
Okay.
What got them to 3-0, Rod? What got them to 3-0? Great defense, timely scoring, great goaltending. The one thing that most hockey fans probably know, the stick checking that the Panthers did in the first 3 games, making sure those passes by McDavid and those guys were never crisp passes, the making them change direction, angles. In the last 2 games, the last probably 7 periods hadn't been like that. The Panthers have not done that. They've given them those passes. They've given them the angles, and they've been paying for it. I think the Panthers are a tired team, and I don't think Edmonton has shown any quit. And actually, they look like they're getting stronger, and the Panthers with a 3-0 lead maybe took their foot off the gas. Maybe the trip north was too much. I don't know, but it's not the same tenaciousness, forechecking defense, and I think changing angles on passes. That's my opinion. I'm not.
Yeah, that's
all I know.
Well, hey, you and I have either different friends, or I didn't say the Panthers were angry, shocked, and worried. My friends, the fans, are. I think the Panthers are confident going up there Friday night, but people are just like, what hit them? Because they thought the first Stanley Cup was going to be in the bag Saturday night, and now they're thinking they're all going to lose it. By the way, did you play hockey growing up in Verdun, Quebec? I never asked you.
I played hockey until I was about 20 years old.
Okay. Oh, so even down in Florida. Cool. All right. Well, I know you know the game. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm a Habs fan.
Well, that's been largely good. But so, hey, that's enough about the hockey. We've been talking that enough.
Yeah.
Canadian Football League kicking off on week 3, Thursday night. Our poll question today, what's Canada's game of the week? Like me, you watch every game. But if you could only pick one, what are you picking? Thursday, Ottawa at Montreal. Friday, BC at Winnipeg. Saturday, Edmonton at Toronto. And Sunday, Hamilton at Sask. What's the game of the week?
I'll tell you what, it's hard to pick because I've watched every game from the second preseason game all the way to the last 2 weeks. And I think the coaching in the CFL right now is as good as it's ever been. I think the parity in the league right now is probably as strong as it's going to be. I mean, who would have thought Winnipeg be 0-2 right now with facing a pretty hot Vernon Adams? They're holding on for dear life not to have their fan base go nuts. So I think that's probably the most important game of the week, just based on knowing Mike O'Shea and what he does and, what a calm guy he is. He's not hitting any panic buttons, I can tell you that. His quarterback's got to play better. Caleros hasn't played great. They haven't gotten the pass rush they've gotten in the past, and they're paying for it with big plays. The return game is anemic where it's been explosive. So I think you get into those spots and people can pretty much figure out why you're not winning and why you're losing.
Our viewers agree with you, by the way, that BC at Winnipeg on Friday night is the biggest game. Is that your dog I can hear in the background? Are you at home doing? Can I hear your pup?
Yeah, you saw him when he was a little baby. He got snipped yesterday, so I came home to see him. Yeah, that's not an easy thing, but he's great.
Every guy feels that. Tyson?
Yeah, Tyson. You've met him.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, well, give my best to Tyson, man. We've all been there. We've been there. Here's the next one. Our poll question the other day. What's the biggest surprise so far in the CFL season? I'll put it to you. The Riders being 2-0, or the Bombers, Ticats, and Elks being 0-2. Which one of those is the biggest surprise?
I think Chris Jones has done a great job up getting his talent level up to where it needs to be to win. So him being 0-2, I think, is a surprise. Not probably to the fan base because they expect it because the Elks have been bad for a couple of years, but I think they're going to beat Montreal this week. They play Montreal, right? Ottawa,
Toronto.
Toronto, that's right. Ottawa, I thought, is really explosive. I thought they upgraded big time. I like the quarterback. I think everything that they're doing is good. So, the biggest surprise is obviously Winnipeg being that perennial power, is being 0-2. But I like Montreal. I think Noel plays great defense. I believe in the quarterback, but I could see them losing 2 in a row or being a 9-9 team. Montreal, I think they're good. I don't think they're above and beyond everybody else in the league, in my opinion. Sask, I love Trevor Harris. I think, he just can't get out of his own way, but he knows how to anticipate with the football. And we haven't even talked about Calgary. I think Jake Mayer is playing much better than he did a year ago. And, I think the frontline quarterbacks are pretty good. I feel bad for Vernon Adams where they can't bring in somebody on second down to run a quarterback sneak, and he's just getting absolutely beat on. So if you want him to play the whole year, you better get into that and fix that quick.
Well, if you asked me why they got him in short yardage, if you have a 6'7", 6'8" backup like they do in Jake Dolegala, his frame, the plyometrics don't lend themselves, I wouldn't think, to short yardage. Do you think that's why VA is a little more built for that than the giraffe Dolegala?
Yeah, but if VA is going to throw for all these yards and stay up and stay and play 18 games or 17 games, and you're asking him to take on big hits. To me, with my quarterbacks, I want them to get hit as few times as possible. I don't. But the theory and thought process changes. You better have 2 good quarterbacks in any league, anywhere, because if you don't, this whole thing. When the teams are very similar, sometimes it's the quarterback that's going to be the difference maker. And you saw it in Saskatchewan last year when they lost Trevor Harris. That thing just went the complete other direction.
Sure. Well, and hey, what do they say? A quarterback-driven league. They talk about that about the NFL. I bet your high school loop is a quarterback-driven league. If you don't have one, you lose. With Bo, they're 0-2. There's a story that's made the national wire here about how great he's been despite their 0-2 start. And I'll be honest, he did look pretty good. I made the comment that he's done. I was just doing that to get headlines. I don't think he's done. He looked pretty sharp. What do you think about Bo? And would you hitch your wagon to him like the Hamilton Tiger Cats have done at this stage of his career?
The father time always kind of wins out. So by father time, I don't know the ins and outs of his body mechanics and what he was dealing with. If you want to look at productivity, he's been one of the most productive quarterbacks in history. So I might hitch my wagon to him. I like him, but you better be looking for a young guy in this league that can process and lead teams and organizations. And hopefully Kelly will be back soon in Toronto. And looks like this understudy is going to get some good work in the meantime. And they'll figure out whether or not he could be a solution down the road. And I just look at the quarterbacks, and I'm not letting Vernon Adams take unnecessary hits. I'll put a linebacker in there. I'll put somebody else to do that, or a skill guy of some sort to take that punishment. So that's my opinion.
The CFL fans loving the discussion here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, Jake Mayer is putting up MVP numbers and no one is paying attention. That is a bit of a Calgary problem, but I also get what he's saying. You and I have talked about Jake Mayer a lot. When he came in, I think Huff was there, Dinwiddie was there, Mark Mueller, Dave Dickinson. All 4 couldn't have been wrong. I think you think he's a pretty good quarterback. Do you think he's the next one for the Stamps?
Listen, I think Dave Dickinson is smart. So if Dave Dickinson hitched his wagon to him and didn't hitch his wagon, to Bo, then I trust Dave Dickinson. I think he's a pretty smart guy, and so is Huffnagel. Those guys saw what he had, and I think you're starting to see the fruits of that coming. And again, you could play at University of Miami. It doesn't make you a good CFL quarterback. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. What happens to your body through time changes everything. Can you physically handle 27, 28, 29 years old to finally become the guy? And that's the biggest key.
You've seen,
Sorry.
Hey, Tyson. Hey, Tyson. Yeah, you're good. Do you want me to let you go, or have you got a couple more?
No, I'm good.
Couple more minutes.
I'm good. If you're good.
Okay. I feel like you didn't think that dog was going to get to be that big. When we had that fundraiser that night, that fish fry, Tyson was like a quarter that size, if that.
He's now 85 pounds. So go ahead. Next
He was
question.
like 20. Yeah, that was a great night, by the way. This. I see the Detroit Lions have signed a kicker out of the United Football League. I think the Michigan Panthers kicker. I'm not following that league that closely, but I want to ask you this. Because you're dealing with the high school loop and then the colleges and all the pro contacts you have, how's it affecting the Canadian Football League, the UFL, that there's a lot of guys are signing from that league to the NFL?
That's a great question. I see the talent. I don't see a drop off in talent right now in the CFL. Actually, what I see in the CFL is I think they're doing a better job developing the Canadian players. I think there's a lot of talent in Canada, and those kids are coming out ready to play in the CFL. Funny story. We had a 7-on-7 yesterday at FAU. I run into Chris Carter. You all know who Chris Carter is. Now he's in player development with FAU. You all remember Duron Carter, longtime CFL player. Met Duron yesterday, had a great conversation with him. I'm going to interview him for one of our jobs this week. I called Jeremy over at Saskatchewan, and I called Chris, and both said, hey, smart, intelligent kid, just, at that time wasn't capable of being mature enough to handle living in another place, money, blah, blah, blah. And the two conversations I've had with Duron Carter have been great. So, again, the CFL was a connection for me and Duron. Football is the connection there. And I think the CFL, if the agents do a good job down south by giving their clients the ability to be part of it, then I think the talent level will keep coming. There's just so many people playing football, and there's so many good players playing football.
Exactly. And by the way, if it matters, I'll endorse Duron Carter as we're standing here right now. I absolutely love him, and he's one of the most intelligent guys you could ever hope to meet. So I look forward to seeing him on the sidelines at Cardinal Gibbons this season. But just to go back on this, I guess I shouldn't have brought up the kicker because Canadian kickers are being squeezed out by globals, and that's a whole other issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you on the talent thing. The talent has not dropped off, and I think it's important that the people know that. The fans aren't dumb, though. They can see that. But you know how there was this threat. Spring football is going to hurt talent recruiting in Canada, and that just hasn't really happened, is what we're saying.
I think the GMs, listen, they're running their free agent camps. They have the PFD or whatever they call it. They're watching all the college kids. These guys do their homework, and there's enough opportunities out there. It's kind of like Moneyball, the CFL. Listen, forget about the big names. Find the guys that are productive. Pay them a little bit better than they're paying them. They can pay them more. Make it worth their while. We have NIL in Florida now. They want to pay high school kids. There's NIL in college football. They're paying, I think, the University of Miami quarterback in upwards of $2 million. It's better for him to play college football than take a shot in the NFL. Take a blind leap of faith. And that kid could end up in Canada one day. You've seen it happen. Andre Ware, Doug Flutie, the list goes on and on. So the guys that embrace Canada, that want to have a life that, some guys will move up there and never come back to the States. And I've seen it happen a bunch of different times. But I think right now the league is solid. I don't know the financials, but the play is solid. The programs look to be funded properly. And you're seeing some pretty exciting football. I look forward to watching it. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Well, by the way, we had the commissioner on here the week of the kickoff of the season, so 2 weeks ago, and he said OSU's payroll, you probably know this, is $25 million US. But if you're playing the game or doing anything just for the paycheck, you probably got the wrong occupation. But anyways, Coach, thanks for this. Let's do it again soon. Keep in touch.
Yeah, Tyson apologizes for his untimely entrance into our screen. But, hey, listen, I just want the people to know the CFL is great. Support it. The Panthers, if they get back to business, doing what they did in the first 3 games, you'll see a Stanley Cup champion. If not, look out for Edmonton because they know how to win cups.
Sounds good, Coach. Thanks for the time.
Take care. Thank you.
Matt Dubuc, CFL alum and from Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 3-time 5A state champion.